Hello, dear students. I am Dr. Swarnendu Roy from the Department of Botany, University of North Bengal. Today, I will be delivering a lecture on the topic plastic pollution as a part of the SSC 2 paper of Environmental Studies. First of all, I would like to focus upon the outline of this lecture. So this lecture will briefly introduce to the plastics, the types of plastics and their uses, the effect of plastic pollution on the environment, and most importantly on the management of plastic waste. So first of all, what is a plastic? So we can define plastic as any group of synthetic or natural organic materials that may be shaped when soft and then hardened. It can include different type of resins, resinoids and polymeric materials, including the cellulose derivatives, casein materials, proteins, and most importantly, it has been designed and produced to replace the other materials that have been used traditionally, like glass, wood, and metals. The plastics are also used for different purposes, like for the construction, decoration, for making many articles such as coatings, filaments, and for weaving materials. So, if we go and look back at the history of the plastics, we can trace the origin of the plastic from the year 1846 in Europe, where Charles Chauvin accidentally discovered the resin nitrocellulose. In 1851, hard rubber was discovered. In 1870, camphor was discovered. In 1890s, formaldehyde was used as a resin. 1909, synthetic bakelite was discovered. In 1930s, different plastic polymers in the form of nylon was discovered. 1930s to 1940s, during the World War II, different thermoplastics were discovered which are still today used, like PVC, low density polyethylene, polystyrene, etc. Also, in 1978, the very low density polyethylene was introduced, which reduced the cost of the plastic production drastically. So as a result of that, plastics have been used for the production of different articles, slowly and gradually replacing the traditional materials such as wood and other construction materials. So, in 1937, Society of Plastic Industry, which has been abbreviated as SPI, they developed a system which is known as the Resin Identification Code. So this Resin Identification Code in 1988, depending upon the types of the polymers or the resins that have been used for the production of plastics, they have recognized 7 categories. So these categories include PET, that is polyethylene tetraphthalate, HDPE, high density polyethylene, vinyl or PVC, that is polyvinyl chloride, LDPE, that is low density polyethylene, PP, that is polypropylene, PS, polystyrene, and other mixed plastics. So if you go through this resin identification code, so this has been numbered like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the different classes, and you can see the use of this plastics for different applications. For example, the PET or polyethylene terephthalate, it has been used for making soft drink bottles and different bottled waters. High density polyethylene, they have been used for making milk jugs, laundry detergent bottles, and different cleaning solution bottles. Polyvinyl chloride, which is the most importantly used plastic, which is abbreviated as PVC, it has been used for the plastic cling wrap and for the plumbing pipings and all these things. And low density polyethylene for shopping bags and squeeze bottles, polypropylene for plastic straw, medicine bottles, condiment bottles, polystyrene for the clamshell packaging materials, plastic utensils, CD cases, and the other mixed plastics, which includes the acrylic, nylon and polycarbonate type of materials that has been used for making different type of construction materials and have different varieties of applications in every field. So in this slide, you can see that depending upon the time of their decomposition, so all the plastic types, they vary on the timing of their decomposition. For example, you can see that the polyvinyl chloride, which is the least decomposed plastic. So you can see that there is no timeline for their decomposition, whereas the LDP type of plastics, they can take more or less 500 to 1000 years for decomposition. Also the high density polyethylene, they also require a substantial amount of time, near about 100 years for their decomposition. So you can see that almost all the plastics are, or they can persist in the environment for a long period of time. So that makes them a very dangerous material from the point of view of the environment. So if we go through the properties of the plastics, we can say that the plastics are commercially used in the present day because they are mostly inexpensive. On the other hand, they are very durable, and these structures and their polymeric properties, they make them resistant to all the natural processes of degradation. So that is why they are completely non-degradable, and as a result of this, their higher prominence and usage in the present day makes them accumulate in the environment, and which causes potential hazards to the environment. So now let us focus on the plastic pollution. So basically, the plastic pollution is slowly and gradually engulfing the earth. So in the sense that it is highly toxic and it affects all the organisms present in the earth, including the plants, animals, insects, and all the known living organisms. It is an incredibly useful material from our point of view, but it is highly toxic and it is known to cause illness, and because it is meant for durability, it is non-degradable in the nature. So which is the most important concern of the plastic use. So if you see the effect of the plastic pollution on the environment, we can see plastic affects all the ecosystems. So first of all, you can see that the groundwater pollution is the major cause of the plastic waste. So this plastic bottles and all these things which get accumulated in the aquatic environment, it slowly and gradually gets accumulated in the surface water, and slowly it becomes leached out to the groundwater, and it begins to cause serious harm to the species which live in the water and which are dependent upon the water for their drinking. Then the plastics, if they get accumulated in the land, it causes the land pollution, and it has been known that overall 46% of the plastic waste is landfilled. Unlike the other materials, you know that the plastic is non-degradable, so that is why it slowly and gradually gets accumulated in the terrestrial environment. Also, plastics, they cannot be burnt because burning of the plastic leads to air pollution. The burning of the plastic releases highly toxic gases and elements and products, which are mostly carbon monoxide, chlorine, hypochloric acid, dioxin, furans, amines, styrene, benzene, and acetaldehyde. All these compounds are highly toxic and causes air pollution. Again, the most important dangerous aspect of the plastic pollution is accumulation of the plastic ultimately into the oceans. Because the ocean is at the downstream of each and every ecosystem, mostly all the plastics get accumulated and end up in the ocean. It has been estimated that nearly 4.8 million and 12.7 billion tons of debris end up in the world's ocean every year, and majority of it is improperly discarded plastic litter. So, in totality, we can see that the plastic pollution, it upsets the food chain. So you can see in this figure that the plastics, it affects not only the phytoplankton, which are the producers, it also affects the primary consumers and the secondary consumers, and ultimately affecting the humans, which are at the top of the food chain. So that is why plastics are highly toxic, and their biomagnification and accumulation in the tertiary consumers poses a serious threat and concern. So now let us focus on some of the aspects of the management of plastic waste. So the conventional methods of management of the plastic waste, it involves the recycling of the plastic. So the plastic recycling basically refers to the process of recovering waste or scrap plastic and reprocessing it into useful products. So this recycling process, it involves first of all the collection of the plastic, then the sorting of the plastic, so that means separating the different type of plastics, then shredding of the plastics through the shredder machine and different machines. After that, the cleaning of the plastics and melting the plastics to finally making it pellet so that they can be recycled and reused for further use. Another conventional method includes the dumping of the plastic waste into the landfill. So this is a conventional approach of the waste management, but the major disadvantages of this landfilling is that gradually in every country the space for landfilling is becoming scanty. However, this plastic waste also remains in the landfill without breaking down and changing the composition of the terrestrial environment and the surrounding aquatic environments also due to the leaching of the plastic waste. Another conventional method is the incineration. So basically incineration means to burn the plastic at high temperature. So incineration process basically it aims to reduce the need for the landfill of the plastic waste. However, there are the major concerns that whenever the plastics are burnt, hazardous substances or chemicals are released into the environment. However, incineration can be used to recover some of the energy content in the plastic. So that means some of the plastics can be recycled through this process. So how can we manage the plastic waste from our side? So all of us can do a bit from our own by reducing the use of the single-use plastics. So basically the single-use plastics refer to the plastic that are used only once. It may be for any purpose, that means like a carry bag, like a cutlery, like a packaging material. So you can see all the examples of the single-use items or the single-use plastics, including the plastic carry bags, sticks, then straws, then food packaging material or the plastic utensils. So you can see that you can replace all these items with different alternatives. For example, you can use the plastic bags or the different bags which can be reused again and again instead of the carry bag. You can use the steel cutlery. We can have the tiffin box instead of the plastic your containers. So like this we can replace the usage of the single-use plastics. So as you know that there are 3 R's for the management of the waste, that is reduce, reuse and recycle. That means all of us should work toward reducing the usage of the plastic, reuse of the plastic materials and recycling of the plastic materials. So like this we can all work towards the goal of managing the plastic waste. So in this example you can also see a road that is made from the waste plastic. So this road is from our own country where the plastic waste has been used for preparing the road like this. So you can see that there can be different ways by which you can utilize the plastic so that it does not causes the potential hazards when they get landfilled or when they are leased out into the aquatic ecosystem. Lastly, in conclusion, so we can say that we have to rise above the plastic, and there are many statistical implications. As you can see that near about 180 million plastic bags, 120 million plastic bottles, 200 million other pieces of plastic packaging, they are released into the environment. Every year 9 million tons of plastic enter into the ecosystem, and every 11 years this is going to double. And the most important thing is that plastic doesn't decompose, it just gets smaller. Just from a single bottle, near about 10,000 pieces of microplastics can be released into the environment. So, in our bid to manage or curb the plastic pollution, we can follow some of the basic steps. That means we can introduce a container deposit system to eliminate the plastic rubbish. We can ban the single-use plastic bags. We can remove the microbeads from the personal care and laundry products. We can ensure plastic producers and recyclers capture all the plastic waste from our own premise. Finally, thank you for your patient hearing, and let us do our bit and don't let the world to go to the waste just like a plastic. Thank you all of you once again.